Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? Our guest today is a survivor of 8 heart surgeries and is also a jiu-jitsu black belt holder. They are also a father of 3 and a husband. We have with us today, Danny Covey from Edinburgh, Canada. It is a pleasure to have you with us, Danny. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me here.
I'm super excited to have you here and talk all things that make you happy, but wow, 8 heart surgeries. What's the story there?
I was born with a congenital heart defect, and so I've had heart surgery at 18 months old, 8 years old, 12, 14, and then again at 40. I've had my aortic valve replaced with a mechanical valve, and then most recently I had an aortic aneurysm and I had my aortic arch replaced as well.
And I honestly don't even know where to start with that. Is it just something that you have to keep managing, or do you expect that every surgery is sort of going to be the last and then something else happens?
My fingers are crossed. This should be the last one. My health is really good right now. I've been able to do a lot of things, so no foreseeable future surgeries in the future. So.
And how has the fact that you've had 8 heart surgeries throughout your life shaped your happiness?
That is a fantastic question, because my happiness has not come from my circumstances. Meaning, I've had good health, I've had really poor health, but I've found that the happiness that I've experienced in my life is actually a byproduct of doing other things. And so for me, having so many heart surgeries, having such poor health for many years, I've tried to focus on being grateful and pushing my perceived limits. And I find when I can push past my limits, there's the happiness. It comes from striving towards something, working towards something. It's a byproduct. If I tried to find happiness by itself, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But it's in the struggle and it's in the success of climbing the mountain, so to speak, that you have that mountaintop experience, and that's when happiness comes in.
And how has becoming a father really changed your perception of happiness in the last few years?
I'm aware of the example that I set. So my attitude and the way I respond to things, my kids pick up on that. And so if there's challenging situations or difficult things that we face, I'm very careful to verbalize negativity and just focus on, we're going to get through this. And then seeing that actually happen, that's a huge encouragement to them. And so it's just made me even more grateful, because it's a privilege to have children, and I love and I actually like my children. So it's amazing. I really enjoy it.
Just on that, I think it's really incredible that you're taking control of that aspect, because we've seen the ads on TV. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but there's road rage, for example. The father road rages, the child in the back road rages, and it mimics that behavior. But you're allowing them to mimic your behavior of reflection, potentially analyzing, being calm, not blowing up, not getting angry. That's just another way to look at it and to guide young people and your children. Really glad that you shared that, Danny. For our listeners who are trying to maybe grasp a little bit of that happiness, or they're feeling their way through the process and they're on their own journey trying to find that happiness in their life, or they're just on their own journey and they want that byproduct, which is going to be happiness, what would your advice be for them?
My advice would be this is going to sound strange, but it's going to be to risk responsibly. Meaning, take risks, work hard at things, be very wise about it, but absolutely refuse to see yourself as a victim. In my life, I've had a lot of health challenges, a lot of suffering, but I've also worked really hard to overcome those challenges, and that has made all the difference. I'll just in parting leave a quick quote by Richard Paul Evans, and he says, "We don't succeed in spite of our challenges and difficulties, but precisely because of them. And I 100%.
I really resonate with that too, Danny. Danny, thank you so much for sharing all things that do make you incredibly happy, as well as your journey on how you got to where you are today. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Make sure to check out whatmakesyouhappypodcast.com to connect with today's guest and follow us on all our social media platforms, and to stay up to date at what's happening next at What Makes You Happy. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next time.